Violent video games and aggression. Studies confirm link between video games and physical aggression. Violent video games trigger aggression. The overhyped data debate lingers. And aggression. Violent video games trigger physical aggression. Violent video games tied to physical aggression. Violent video games might not be bad for you. Wait. Violent video games might not be bad for you. What the fuck? Anyways, tic-tac-toe was created in 1952. 6 years later, the same dude who developed the first nuclear bomb had some free time to also create a tennis game in 1958, which is similar to the 1970s video game Pong. The game was played on a large analog computer. Also was a game for two. Did I mention it was the first video game? No? Well, now you know. But now you're wondering, why the fuck do you need to know the history of video games? Well, here's why. Imagine you're talking about a school shooting. In the news, you hear about how the shooters played a violent video game and showing the gameplay of it. Of course, you'd put one and one together, boom, you think it's bad. But in the beginning, it was to help us relieve stress, not cause shooting, relieve stress. Now that that's done, now this is the reason why violent video games doesn't affect players with conditions, of course, of specific individuals. In reality, 61.9% of the boys play to help me relax. 47.8% because it helps me forget my problems, and 45.4% because it helps me get my anger out. Kids are playing violent video games because it helps them relax, which is pretty smart. They're using video games as a gateway to a whole virtual world where their acts wouldn't affect anyone. I'm sorry if I kind of switched microphones, and this is probably the second day that I'm recording this, so yeah. Anyways, after the Fantastic 3 have been in the news after many controversy, there has been an era of the violent video games. But one stat from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquent Prevention, the Juvenile Violent Crime Index arrest rate in 2012 was 38%, below 1980 levels, and 63% below 1944. I remember about how the news tried to put violent video games to shame. Well, a report by the U.S. Secret Service and U.S. Department of Education, yes, you heard right, U.S. Secret Service and U.S. Development of Education, examined 37 incidents of target school violence between 1974 and 2000. Having about 41 attackers, 27% had an interest in violent movies, 24% in violent books, and 37% inhabited interested in their own violent writing. And get this, only 12% showed interest in violent video games. 64% of students surveyed at Haldane High School has a friend who played violent video games with. Also, 64% of the students surveyed at Haldane again believe that violent video games does not have an effect on players. What about those scientists who say that violent video games do affect kids? An American psychologist who served as a professor and co-chair of psychologists at University in Florida, Christopher wrote an article, "Video games do not make kids violent," which shows many studies fail to control for factors that contribute to children becoming violent, such as family history or mental health. Plus, most of the studies do not follow children over a long period of time. Wait, what was your question? Those who did cause school shootings and did play video games, why did they do it? But I mean, you already told me that I have to contribute family illness. Well, I'm glad you answered that on your own, Mr. Oh my god, I'm so lonely. So what it all comes down to is where video games comes to you as a way to get away from neglect or rage or just a time waster. In my case, it's just a way to relax, rage in. Anyways, I'm gonna show you the 5 interviews, and yeah, I'm gonna show you the 5 the 5. Oh god.
No, I don't. I think that it is widely believed that they do, but most of the time that has no correlation.
Mostly.
Well, I do think it can have effect on motor skills and other such functions, but aside from that, it doesn't really have any detrimental effects aside from maybe causing some damage to your eyes. The violent part, I don't think has any basis.
Depends on the person. It's not like if I go play it like night and day, I'm gonna do some stupid stuff out there, because I have a reason to distinguish with video games and with real life.
Positives. As I said before, I think it can help you with coordination, brain stimulation, but other than that, I don't feel like it has any negative attitudes, except for maybe helping release steam every once in a while. But other than that, I don't really think so.
Depends how much time you play, what kind of video games you play, and if you're mentally stable.
Okay, do you believe that?
Whatever.
Do you believe? Do you believe that violent video games have an effect on people that play?
No.
No.
Yes and no.
Okay, so there's no effect because like it's a game. It's a cartoon game. What do you think's gonna happen? Okay, never mind. I'm talking. Yeah. No, there's no effect because like it's just a cartoon game.
Because it's just a video game. It's not real.
Yes, because I feel like you have a mental illness. It's just gonna, they're not gonna understand what's right and wrong. So when they're playing these games, they could have a bad influence with it. But if you're a completely sane person, you have no mental issues, I don't think video games are a potential harm at all. I think it's just a good time to relax and just have fun,
Do you think there's any positives in violent video games?
Yes.
And why is that?
Communication skills.
Not really.
Yeah, it can relieve stress and you can just have fun with friends.
Alright, there we go. That's all we needed.
Let's go, boys!
Let's go, boys! Let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go!
This already feels too long, and I wrote like 4 pages of this script, and I'm tired, so